A 126-mile shootout at Atlanta International Raceway. Last year, the first Winston was at Charlotte Motor Speedway the day before the World 600. 12 drivers were in the starting field. The 1984 Winston Cup champion Terry Labonte was on the pole, flanked by Darrell Waltrip. The competition was terrific. 7 lead changes among 3 drivers. The last few laps were a Harry Gant-Waltrip battle. Harry led 31 of the 70 circuits, but his tires went away. Darrell caught him, and on the next to the last lap, Waltrip passed Harry and won the first annual Winston. Then, just after crossing the finish line, the engine blew, indicating how tight these engines are wound for this short but rich race. But the Junior Johnson team collected $200,000 in just over 40 minutes. Today's field is shorter, the race longer, and it's the largest first-place prize in NASCAR history. We welcome you to Atlanta International Raceway. A happy Mother's Day to you. We have 2 very special races coming up for you here on ESPN. First of all, the Winston for the 9 winners last year, plus Jeff Bodine, and then the Atlanta Invitational. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins. Beautiful day for racing here. We should have a good one. This is a very special race for these NASCAR drivers. It's the Winston for the 9 winners last year, plus Jeff Bodine, the only non-winner, but he was the highest in the points. With me in the booth today, Larry Newber. And Larry, not only a prestigious race, but a lot of money involved.
Bob, it really is. Just the money alone makes this a truly special day. Now, the winner's purse, just the winner alone, $200,000 for winning the Winston. Let's put that in perspective. The guy who wins the Indianapolis 500 makes about $1,100 per mile. The winner today, $1,400 plus per winning mile.
Also in the booth with me will be Benny Parsons, and he'll be a participant in the Invitational coming up just a little bit later. Benny, this is a race in which the crews and the drivers really go all out.
They have to go all out because it's a sprint race, 126 miles, that's all. They got to do a lot of practice out on Saturday and make sure that car is right. There's not going to be but one opportunity to change it, and you can't change it that much because you might make a mistake.
Well, Jack Arute will be working the pit area for us today, but before we go to Jack, let's go to the public address announcer, Art Ekman, for the introduction of the starting field.
Ladies and gentlemen, we present the 10 drivers who have earned the right to compete in the Winston. Starting 10th in the second running of the Winston is Jeff Bodine, winner of the 1986 Daytona 500. Jeff Bodine is driving the Levi Garrett Exxon Chevrolet Monte Carlo, owned by Rick Hendrick. Jeff is one of the 2 drivers eligible for the Winston Million in 1986. If Jeff can win the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway 2 weeks from today and the Southern 500 in Darlington on August 31st, he will collect $1 million from Winston Cigarettes. Last season, Jeff Bodine had no wins, but 14 top 10 finishes, earning $565,865. Jeff is accompanied by his wife, Kathy. Starting 9th is Greg Sachs. Greg earned a spot in the Winston by winning the Pepsi Firecracker 400 last July at Daytona Beach. The win was Greg's first in Winston Cup racing. Greg will drive the TRW Chevrolet Monte Carlo, owned by Dygard Racing and Bill Gardner. In 1985, Greg had 1 win, 4 top 10 finishes, and $234,141 in earnings. Greg is accompanied by his wife, Vicki, and his mother, Pat Sachs. Starting 8th in the Winston is Terry Labonte. Terry earned his spot by winning the Budweiser 400 at Riverside, California last June. The victory was Terry's second straight at Riverside. Terry will drive the Piedmont Airlines Oldsmobile, owned by Billy Hagan and Wayne King. In 1985, Terry had 1 win, 17 top 10 finishes, and $694,510 in earnings. Accompanying Terry is his wife, Kim, and his mother, Martha Labonte. The 7th starting position goes to Ricky Rudd. Ricky earned the spot in the second running of the Winston by capturing the last race of the 1985 NASCAR Winston Cup season, the Winston Western 500 at Riverside, California. Ricky will drive the Motorcraft Ford Thunderbird, owned by Bud Moore. In 1985, Ricky had 1 win, 18 top 10 finishes, and earnings of $512,441. Ricky is accompanied today by his wife, Linda. Starting 6th in the Winston is Cale Yarborough. Cale won the Talladega 500 at Alabama International Motor Speedway and the Miller High Life 500 at Charlotte Motor Speedway to earn his spot today. The 2 victories pushed Cale's career total to 83 wins. Cale will drive the Hardee's Ford Thunderbird, owned by Harry Ranier and J.T. Lundy. In 1985, Cale had 2 wins, 7 top 10 finishes, and earnings of $310,465. Accompanying Cale is his wife, Betty Jo, and mother, Annie Mae. The 5th starting position goes to Neil Bonnet. Neil also earned his spot in the Winston by winning 2 races during the 1985 NASCAR Winston Cup season. The Carolina 500 at North Carolina Motor Speedway and the Northwestern Bank 400 at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Neil will drive the Budweiser Kentucky Fried Chicken Chevrolet Monte Carlo, owned by Junior Johnson. Junior is the only car owner with 2 cars in this elite field. In 1985, Neil had 2 wins, 18 top 10 finishes, and Neil earned $530,145. Neil is accompanied today by his wife, Susan. In the 4th starting position is Harry Gant. Harry earned his spot in the Winston by winning 3 races in 1985. The Sovereign Bank 500 at Martinsville, Virginia, the Delaware 500 at Dover Downs International Speedway, and the Holly Farms 400 at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Harry will drive the Skoal Bandit Chevrolet Monte Carlo, owned by Hal Needham and Burt Reynolds. In 1985, Harry had 3 wins, 19 top 10 finishes, and earnings of $804,287. Accompanying Harry is his wife, Peggy. Starting 3rd is Dale Earnhardt. Dale won 4 races in the 1985 NASCAR Winston Cup season to earn this spot in the Winston today. The Miller High Life 400 at Richmond, Virginia. The Valley Day 500 at Bristol, Tennessee. The Busch 500 at Bristol and the Goodies 500 at Martinsville, Virginia. Dale will drive the Wrangler Chevrolet Monte Carlo, owned by Richard Childress. In 1985, Dale had 4 wins, 16 top 10 finishes, and earnings of $546,596. Dale was accompanied by his wife, Teresa. On the outside pole and starting 2nd is Bill Elliott from Dawsonville. Bill earned his spot in the second running of the Winston by winning a record 11 super speedway races during the 1985 NASCAR Winston Cup season, including 3 of the Big 4 races to earn the Winston Million. By capturing the Daytona 500, the Winston 500, and the Southern 500 last year, Bill became the first driver to collect the $1 million bonus from Winston cigarettes. The other races that he won included the Coca-Cola 500 right here at Atlanta International Raceway, the Crown South 500 at Darlington, the Budweiser 500 at Dover Downs, the Van Scoy Diamond Mines 500 at Pocono, Pennsylvania, the Miller 400 at Michigan International Speedway, the Summer 500 at Pocono, the Champion Sparkplug 400 at Michigan, and the Atlanta Journal 500 here at AIR last November. Total earnings for 1985, $2,383,187. Bill will drive the Coors Milling Ford Thunderbird in the Winston. The car is owned by Harry Melling. Accompanying Bill is his wife, Martha, and his mother, Mildred Elliott. And ladies and gentlemen, starting on the pole position for the second year of the Winston race is Darrell Waltrip. Darrell earned the #1 starting position by virtue of his third NASCAR Winston Cup championship in 1985. Darrell is also the defending champion of the Winston. He won the inaugural race last May 25th at Charlotte Motor Speedway when he came from behind to catch and pass Harry Gant on the white flag lap. Darrell qualified for the Winston by winning 3 races this year: the World 600, the Wrangler's San Francisco 400, and the Nationwide 500. Darrell would drive the Budweiser Kentucky Fried Chicken Chevrolet Monte Carlo, owned by Junior Johnson. In 1985, Darrell had 3 wins, 21 top 10 finishes, and total earnings of $1,318,735. Darrell is accompanied by his wife, Stevie. Gentlemen, let's pause for pictures with the wives and mothers.
And so there is the star-studded field for the second annual Winston here at Atlanta International Raceway, and we're very happy to be here to televise it for you live. The Winston is being brought to you by Larry Nuber and Benny Parsons in the booth. This is Bob Jenkins, and welcome back to the Winston that is going to be run here in just a few moments. And again, we'd like to wish all of you out there a very happy Mother's Day. Well, there is the purse that's at stake here this afternoon. The winner, $200,000, finishing in second position. The driver will earn $75,000, third $60,000, fourth $50,000, and fifth $30,000. Right on down the line to 10th, which pays $10,000. Let's go down now to Jack Arute in the pit area for more pre-race activity. Jack?
Well, Bob, I'm with the mastermind behind the Winston, the second annual here in Atlanta, Jerry Long. Jerry, just a fantastic job by all the people at RJR and also at the Atlanta International Raceway.
Oh, we're really happy, Jackie. The crowd is absolutely tremendous, and as you can see, enthusiastic by the tremendous roar that we've had here during all the introductions. We're most delighted with this great success.
Well, the pre-race festivities were absolutely elegant. That's the only word that you could use to describe it. But let's get down to the nuts and bolts of the race itself. Spectacular race last year at Charlotte Motor Speedway, but a major change in the rules for this event.
Yes, we have a major change. It's an 83-lap race, Jackie. It'll cover 126 miles. But the 40th lap will be a mandatory pit stop, and this is something new. It is mandatory. And every team must change 2 tires, but they have the option of changing 4 tires if they wish. So this is something that we're looking forward to. Now, if something happens and we're running under caution or whatever, it's still a mandatory 40 pit stop.
Well, that's the story from pit road. Jerry Long's got to get over to give the traditional command to get the Winston underway. And I'm sure Benny, myself, and the rest of you guys will be talking a lot about that mandatory pit stop and what it does to race strategy. Back up to you guys.
Well, it could be a very important factor in this race, Benny. Well, apparently Benny's mic is not working. We'll talk to Larry Nuber about that while we work on Benny's mic.
The pit stop can bring about a lot of changes. It'll be something to watch quickly.
All right. We will be back with the start of this Winston from Atlanta International Raceway. We are back at Atlanta International Raceway, and there is a great crowd on hand here as the 10 cars and drivers are lined up on pit road, ready to get the command to start engines and to move on to this 1.522-mile racetrack for the start of the Winston. Let's go to the public address announcer and those famous words.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've all been waiting for, the Grand Marshal, Jerry Long.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? We're glad to hear that. Gentlemen, start your engines.
And just like at a place that will release some balloons a couple of weeks from today, and the aerial bombs going off, we get set to go 83 laps now in the Winston at Atlanta. Great pageantry and great pre-race activity here before we start this race. And Benny, we finally got your mic to work.
Yes, I think we have. And the pageant has been unbelievable. They've had entertainment. Just a moment ago, some old airplanes went across. It's been fantastic, and I think the race is going to be fantastic as well.
On the pole will be Darrell Waltrip because he is the Winston Cup champion. Behind him, actually beside him on row number 1, behind him right now, Bill Elliott, the driver who won more races than anybody else last year in the Coors Melling Ford car number 9.
Bob, you know, I think it's no secret, of course, why R.J. Reynolds and Winston is involved in racing, but they have done something just a little more than get involved. They have become a part of the fabric of the sport. And as Benny mentioned, this weekend, it truly has been something special. They have done more than just spend a lot of money. They've made it special. We spent the night last night on the estate. As a matter of fact, it was the inspiration for Gone with the Wind.
In the second row, Dale Earnhardt and Harry Gant. The engines are started. We'll be moving onto the racetrack and begin this event in just a moment. Return with us to Atlanta. The cars begin to roll out of pit road onto the racetrack. And once again, the starting lineup very quickly. On the front row, Darrell Waltrip, car number 11 outside, Bill Elliott in number 9. The second row, Dale Earnhardt, car number 3, and Harry Gant, number 33, the Skull Bandit. The third row, number 12, Neil Bonnet. Outside, Cale Yarborough in number 28. The fourth row, Ricky Rudd in 15 and Terry Labonte in 44. And in the fifth row will be Greg Sachs in car number 10 and Jeff Bodine in car number 5. There is Greg Sachs' machine moving down pit road onto the racetrack. We'll try to establish some radio contact. Let's go first to Larry Newber.
Well, this is Cale Yarborough on your screen right now. Cale comes into this race. Are you guys looking at the number 9 car and the number 3 car, Cale?
Yeah, the number 9 car has been running real strong all during the week, so I got a feeling he's going to be the man to beat.
On the other hand, your crew is extremely happy, isn't it?
Yeah, we've had a good week. Car's been running pretty good, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens as the race goes on, and just hope that the car, you know, stays as we, the chassis stays just like we finished the race, finished practice with. I think we'll be in pretty good shape.
Okay, Cale, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
And we also have radio contact with the guy who was on the pole for the race, the Winston last year, the 84 Winston Cup champion, Terry Labonte.
Terry, this is Larry Newber up on ESPN. You guys have done a tremendous job this year piecing together a crew that was in fragments all over the winter. You've come along. You've been a winner so far in 1986. What about today? What are your chances?
Well, I don't know. I guess right now they're as good as anybody. I think the car was working real well in practice yesterday, so hopefully it'll work good today.
Terry, we talked to every one of you, of course, the last couple of days. Who were the cars or the car to beat? We keep coming up with Earnhardt and Elliott. You agree?
Well, I would have to say Elliott for sure, and I think Cale Yarborough has really picked up a lot since he's been here, so I think he'll be one to watch also.
Terry, best of luck to you. 86 has been a nice year. Maybe this will be a good day.
Thank you very much.
83 laps, 126.3 miles. Let's get the predictions on who is going to win this race first. Benny Parsons.
Well, I've been timing these cars for the past couple of days, and Bill Elliott has been so strong. As a matter of fact, I'm going to watch his line and figure out if he knows some secret I don't know about getting around this racetrack.
Larry?
The logical thing to do is to go with Elliott, but I like Yarborough. They've been calm, cool, collected, and very pleased all week long.
I'm going to predict Bill Elliott. Let's get the prediction of Jack Arute.
I'm going to go with Waltrip, number 11, 2 in a row.
All right, and there you have our predictions from the booth. Who do you think is going to win at home? Well, it'll be a very short race, actually, and we're going to know within the hour, so don't go away. It should be tremendous. Now, on laps 20, 30, 50, and 60, the leader of that lap will pick up an extra $10,000. So it's very possible that the winner of today's race could walk off with almost $250,000, $240,000 actually.
Well, Harold Kenner, the flagman, has given the cars one lap to go. Next time by, the green flag goes out, and they'll go to racing. There's a young lady on the announce stand there, Cindy Stecker, I think her name is. She won a contest that the sponsor had for, and she gets to start the car.
Yeah, Becky Stecker, her name is. She's from nearby Bremen, Georgia, and it turned out to be a very nice situation, Benny. She is the consummate auto racing fan. They visited her and her husband's home, and it was bedecked with Winston Cup regalia. So it was a very nice sweepstakes contest, and a very fitting person won.
And Harold Kinder is making sure she knows how to wave it and that it won't get wound up on the stick.
A 31-year-old bank teller, and these guys are going to bank more today in the next hour. I bet she does all week long.
Well, Benny, we hope you will be in this race next year. You didn't have any victories last year in Winston Cup competition, but hopefully you'll be in this race next year and have a chance at this $500,000.
I hope so. These races based on victories in 1985, and needless to say, 1985 was not a very good year for me. 86 so far hasn't been that good, but the car is much better, and that's the thing that's given us a lot of inspiration.
And again, Benny will be in the Atlanta Invitational that will follow this race here at Atlanta this afternoon. And Darrell Waltrip will be joining us here in the broadcast booth, hopefully for a commentary during that event. Well, the field is in turn number 4 now, being led by the pace car. But the pace car docks into pit road. And here comes the field, 10 cars off of corner number 4, looking for the green flag to start the second annual Winston. And the green flag is out. The race is underway.
Great start by Darrell Waltrip. Already has a couple of car advantage on Bill Elliott and Earnhardt alongside Bill, and carrying Bill Elliott way up the hill in turn 2.
Bill Elliott on the high side of the racetrack in corner number 2. Now they race down the backstretch with Waltrip in the lead. Earnhardt and Elliott running side by side. Now Darrell ducks slow on the racetrack. That is the place to run here at Atlanta. But look at Bill Elliott on the high side. Blast around Darrell Waltrip, and it appears as if Bill Elliott is going to lead lap number 1. They come off of corner number 4. Elliott leads lap number 1. Earnhardt is second, then Waltrip, then Gant, then Bonnet, and Yarborough.
Elliott looked like he was jet propelled going in turn 3, Bob.
Just a tremendous jump on Waltrip going into the lead in corner number 2. Here they come off the backstretch. 10 cars strong. Harry Gant has moved into 3rd position now. Waltrip drops back to 4th, and Cale Yarborough racing alongside Darrell Waltrip for that 4th spot in turn number 4. Elliott continues to lead.
Certainly not a long race in any stretch of the imagination. There's Darrell Waltrip, who has slipped back to 4th. Cale Yarborough is moving on the high side, has the advantage. There's Darrell's teammate Neil Bonnet, who lost a bunch of engines this week, moving underneath in number 12.
And number 5, Jeff Bodine, is right behind Neil Bonnet as they go down the backstretch once again. But now Waltrip does pass his teammate Neil Bonnet and settles into that 5th position.
Boy, the amazing thing, Benny, about this is that Elliott and Earnhardt immediately expressed their superiority. They didn't hold back at all. They went right for the lead, and they have a margin over everybody else already.
Bill Elliott on that first lap, I could not believe how hard he went in turn 3. Darrell Waltrip looks like he's got some problems. Jack, your root's on top of the story. Jack?
Well, I've checked with Junior Johnson, who's the owner of Darrell Waltrip's car. He says the car has developed right from the outset a severe push. And Benny, you know you don't want to go around Atlanta with a push.
Exactly right, Jack. These corners are so long if the car will not turn, and that's what we mean by pushing. That means the car just will not turn. If that happens, you got big problems.
And you can see that Waltrip got very high in corner number 4, pointing out the push on the car. You can see how much he has fallen back. He was the pole sitter in this race. However, he has dropped back that much and is currently in 5th position, but being challenged by his teammate Neil Bonnet. They come off of the 2nd corner and go down the backstretch. Bonnet is to the inside of Darrell Waltrip. Here they come. Waltrip cannot hold on to the spot, and Neil Bonnet, at least for the time being, no, not quite. They're side by side into the 4th corner. Now Bonnet pulls ahead, and along comes Jeff Bodine.
High side of the racetrack this early in the race is not the place to be. Darrell has big problems with sprint race. He is a master at adjusting the car, but he doesn't have long to do it today.
They will have one pit stop. There's at least one that's mandatory. You can see Darrell Waltrip way out of the racing lane as they go around the half-mile long turns 1 and 2. Benny, the turns here about a half a mile in length. The straightaway is just a mere 1/4. Little turns, the stagger, the tires are so important.
Boy, they mean so much at this racetrack because it's all corner almost. 2/3 of the racetrack is corner. If you have a problem, it's magnified here worse than any other track we run on.
This is the battle for 5th position. It involves Neil Bonnet in number 12 and Jeff Bodine in car number 5. In 7th position is Darrell Waltrip. Running in 8th spot is Terry Labonte. 9th is Ricky Rudd, and in 10th is Greg Sachs. The lead is held by Bill Elliott. 2nd is Earnhardt. 3rd is Gannon. 4th is Yarborough.
Benny, you know, everybody was saying that Elliott and Earnhardt would be the cars to beat, but I don't really think that everyone expected this much dominance this early. Yarborough right now is not even in a challenging position. Everybody expected him to be so. They were really expecting Harry Gant. But Elliott and Earnhardt are outclassing everybody easily.
Boy, they are going on. Cale Yarborough right now looking alongside Harry Gant as they come off turn 2.
We're watching Neil Bonnet, Jeff Bodine, and Darrell Waltrip. Now there goes Yarborough to the inside of Harry Gant, and Yarborough does pick up that third spot.
Cale Yarborough, who was one of the double winners of 1985. Remember, of course, Bill Elliott with those 11 record-setting super speedway wins, led all of these people in this race with the most number of wins. Both he and Darrell Waltrip, it bears worth repeating, and put this into perspective in your mind. Each of them won over $1 million. Bill over $2 million last year. That's like $100,000 times 20.
Bill Elliott took the lead in corner number 2 just after the green flag drop and continues to hold it. We've completed 9 laps at the Winston at Atlanta International. Lead of the Winston here in Atlanta held by Bill Elliott. His pace 164.046 miles an hour, but right behind him, in fact, closing in, is Dale Earnhardt. The margin was about 3 seconds just a few laps ago. It is down now to just a matter of car lengths, actually, as they go down the backstretch. Bill Elliott leading Dale Earnhardt. Still in third position is Cale Yarborough. Fourth is Harry Gant, and fifth is Neil Bonnet.
Bill Elliott's car does not seem like it could stay on the bottom of the racetrack as well as Dale Earnhardt. And that's exactly where I think the difference is. There we see Neil Bonnet and the 5-car Jeff Bodine. That's a race for about 5th or 6th.
Neil Bonnet from Hueytown, Alabama, driving car number 12. Earlier in the weekend, we had a chance to talk with Neil, and we asked him about the strategy. How will you run this race?
This thing here, the pace I'm going to run is wide open. We don't have any choice. We're going to run this race the full distance just like it was a short sprint, or instead of running 2 qualifying laps, we'll run 100-something miles of qualifying. We're going to go just as flat out as we can run, because somebody in that race is going to do the same thing, a Dale Earnhardt, a Darrell Waltrip, or Bill Elliott. Somebody's going to make you run that pace, and we're approaching the race figuring we're going to be a guy that's going to either do it or be capable of keeping up with the man that is doing it.
Right now, Neil Bonnet has his hands full with Jeff Bodine, who is challenging him for that 5th spot.
There is 5th, and 6th, as Benny told you. Remember, the leader continues to be Elliott. Earnhardt runs 2nd. Yarborough is 3rd, and Harry Gant is 4th. Now, behind this duo, in 7th position, is Darrell Waltrip. 8th is Terry Labonte. 9th is Ricky Rudd, and 10th is car number 10, Greg Sachs. And everybody is separated by at least 10 car lengths, except the 2 of them.
Bonnet and Bodine racing down the front straightaway. Now Jeff Bodine looking to the inside of Neil, but not able to take the spot away. Now Bodine looking inside once again in corner number 2. They get very close out there. They may have touched. Anyway, it's Jeff Bodine moving inside right alongside now of Neil Bonnet. They'll go into turn number 3. The bottom side of the racetrack is usually the fastest. Let's see if it is. Well, Bodine's car not apparently working too well down there as Neil Bonnet holds on to that position.
What happens is when those cars go in side by side, Bob, the car on the inside is at a disadvantage because he can't go in as hard as he wants to. If he does, he'll run into that car on the outside, and it gives that fellow a real advantage going in those corners.
There is banking here, but it's not the super high banking that we see at places like Talladega and Daytona. That's why that phenomenon exists. If you were at one of those big tracks, perhaps that Jeff would have had a better stick going in on the inside and might have been able to make the pass.
Jeff Bodine eligible for the Winston next year also because of his performance and his win in the Daytona 500 earlier this year. He did not win a race in 1985, but is in the Winston today because he was the highest finishing in points that did not win a race. And there is also a pretty good battle going on for, that would be a 3rd position. Cale Yarborough leading Harry Gant, but only by a few car lengths.
Neil Pastor just a couple of laps ago pulled out to about a 15-20 car length advantage. Now Harry is there at the gap. He's bringing the Skull Bandit back up on Yarborough's rear bumper.
In the past few weeks, we have been very concerned about the health of Ernie Elliott. Let's get an update on that from Jack Arute.
Well, you know it's the Winston, so Bill Elliott brought out the secret weapon. That's right, Ernie Elliott's on top of his truck, headset in hand, communicating communicating with his brother Bill, and from the looks of the way that car is going around Atlanta International Raceway, it's obvious to me that the hands of Ernie Elliott have been under the hood of that machine.
And we're very happy to see Ernie back with us on the Winston Cup Trail, and hope that his bad health problems are over. There is his brother Bill coming down the straightaway and completing lap number 19, continuing to lead the Winston.
Benny, a couple things, though. We were told that apparently much of this motor was built by Dan. 19th lap, by the way. The next lap coming up is going to be worth the first bonus of this race, $10,000, right, Bob?
That is correct. He has a half a lap to go, and it looks like that Bill Elliott is going to pick up the first bonus of this race for leading lap number 20, a cool $10,000. Let's see if he does. He brings the car off of the fourth corner and sets it onto the main straightaway, and yes, it is Bill Elliott leading lap number 20, and so $10,000 his already.
Benny, this is also the site of Bill Elliott's last Winston Cup race. He won all those races, the first half primarily of 1985. Not a dry spell, but it was a lean second half, but this is the last place he won.
Yes, last November he won the Atlanta Journal race, and it really helped the Elliots last year because they were on a bad month of luck. They fell out of 5 or 6 races, and they had lost the Winston Cup lead, which Darrell Walker put on the win, but they came here, won the race, and I'm sure that they entered this race with all the confidence in the world.
This racetrack has also been quite kind traditionally to the Ford Motor product. As a matter of fact, of the 54 Winston Cup races that have been conducted here, Ford products have won 23 times. So Bill and that guy in the orange and white car, Cale Yarborough, appear to be at least in the right chassis for this race.
But Cale right now is dropping back from the 9 car. Bill Elliott put distance on Yarborough, and Harry Gant now, he's closed the gap even more. He's only 2 or 3 car lengths. You can see right there, 2 or 3 car lengths behind Yarborough.
And doing a nice job of closing in on the rear bumper of Cale Yarborough. Here they are in corner number 1, but Yarborough for the moment still has 3rd place.
This is something we don't normally see during a Winston Cup event. 4 tires, 6 total here in Cale Yarborough's pit. Why is that? Well, they're only going to be able to pit 1 time under normal conditions. That's on lap 40. And you guys upstairs can talk to Benny Parsons about the fact that you're going to have to decide just exactly what you're going to do to solve your handling problem. Benny, you've been saying Cale Yarborough can't stick down low. They're going to have to pick the right stagger and then 1 stop if they have any chance of winning this Winston race.
Jack, that's exactly right, because they only got 1 shot. A sprint race, 125 miles. They think they're only going to get 1 shot to change the car. If the car is pushing too bad, in other words, when they go in the turn, if it will not turn, it wants to go to the outside retaining wall, some of the teams may change the left side. If the car's a little bit loose, when they go in the turn, if the back end's trying to come around. Some of the teams may change the right side, and some of them may change forward. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to these guys on lap 40.
Benny, one other phenomenon, you know, in normal situations, you get a set of tires, you go out and you test it the day before the race, you get a feel for what you have. But Dick Beatty says these tires have to be sticker tires that you change during this race.
Well, that's exactly right. Dick Beatty says he's going to make sure there is no tires that have been soaked or brought from home. These tires here came off the Goodyear truck down in the infield under NASCAR supervision, and that's the only tires you can use.
We go back to this race for 5th position, and it is still much the same as it was a few laps ago. Neil Bonnet with just about a 2-car length advantage on Jeff Bodine. These cars are the closest to each other of all on the racetrack. Now, they're averaging about 163 miles an hour here today. They did not qualify for this race. However, they did qualify for the Invitational, and Tim Richmond set a brand new track record at 171 miles an hour, so they're about 8 miles an hour under a qualifying speed.
Yeah, Richmond is kind of an interesting story because he populates part of that invitational field, which is evenly divided between the old line guard, there's Greg Sachs, and the new young lion. And interestingly enough, most of this field of the Winston is made up of the new generation of Winston Cup drivers, like that guy who won last year at Daytona on the 4th of July, a modified driver from of all places, New England.
Mattatuck, New York driver Greg Sachs in the TRW Buick Dygaard racing machine. There you can see only 1 win in 59 starts, but 7 top 10 finishes. That win last year at the Firecracker 400. There is Terry Labonte and Ricky Rudd as we continue to work our way up the field. 8th and 9th position here.
Ricky Rudd, who has had a tremendous season on the short tracks, Benny. They really have their act together on tracks that are less than 1 mile. Struggling a little bit, but struggling is too harsh of a word. They've been a pretty competitive team now for 2 years.
Oh, they have been competitive, but you're right. On the big tracks, they're not the consistent team up front leading the race. But on the short tracks, boy, they're terrible. They are really good.
And Terry Labonte from Corpus Christi, Texas, now living in North Carolina, running in 8th position in that Piedmont Airline Oldsmobile number 44.
He hasn't run all that great at Atlanta International Raceway, he says, but they're very happy with this car. Him and crew chief Steve Meal are pretty pleased with the performance of this machine so far.
Running up in 7th position is Darrell Waltrip, who started from the pole in this race, but has dropped back. We hear because of handling problems. The car has a push, and he has fallen about a half a lap behind the leader, Bill Elliott.
Benny, would you have gone out and run a 200-lap race the night before this one? Waltrip did, he won.
He won the race last night, but I tell you what, his fame was short-lived.
Now we continue to work up to this 6th and 5th place battle between Jeff Bodine and Neil Bonnet.
Well, like Greg Sachs, a graduate of the modified ranks, he also has some experience in super modifieds, originally from New York.
And we are approaching another $10,000 lap here, and it appears as if Bill Elliott is going to pocket another bonus. Here he is off the 4th corner, and indeed he does. Another $10,000 for Bill Elliott. He leads lap number 30, and if he can continue this pace, win all 4 bonuses and the entire race, he will pick up $240,000 for about a 40-minute adventure.
Benny, putting together 1 lap, I would say that Earnhardt has got to be maybe the most feared driver out there, and Elliott is making it look easy, particularly because Dale is the closest one to him.
Well, Bill is making it look easy, but Bill Elliott is a very consistent driver. His car is very consistent. And right now, that's exactly what he's doing, just getting good, consistent laps.
And running in 2nd position, and the interval is about 2 seconds now, Dale Earnhardt.
You know, all the cars have made dramatic and sweeping changes, particularly aerodynamic. And one thing I was noticing in the pit yesterday was that this Richard Childress, Kirk Shermerdine wrench car is one of the most simple and maybe one of the closest to factory production of everyone that was down there yesterday.
Awesome Bill from Dawsonville, Georgia, winner of the $1 million last year, stands a good chance of picking up almost $250,000 here this afternoon. He has led both bonus laps to this point, and he is the leader of this race. We're televising for you live the Winston from Atlanta International Raceway. We're delighted you could join us for the 2nd annual Winston from Atlanta, NASCAR's All Star race. And Bill Elliott is doing it. There were a lot of fears among the drivers that he would take the lead and run away from everybody. Well, he has now about a 3-second lead on Dale Earnhardt and has dominated this race to this point. However, a very important moment is coming up in just 3 laps from now. That's the completion of lap number 37. Everyone must pit on lap number 40, and that could mean the difference in this race.
Shelmerdine and Childress, we were talking about that crew just a few moments ago. They have been outstanding on those pauses, particularly under green flag conditions this year. Dale has won at least 1 race because they got him out earlier than everybody else.
They're the world champion. Union Oil, Union 76, has a competition in Rockingham, North Carolina, each year in the March. And the crews change 4 tires and put in 15 gallons of fuel. The Dale Earnhardt crew has won it 2 years in a row. As a matter of fact, they keep setting new world records every March. So when Earnhardt stops, you got to feel like he's going to have an advantage on the Elliott crew.
And it's coming up very rapidly. Boy, Elliott's been around here quick.
There is Dale Earnhardt at the end of the backstretch. Now into turn number 3. Here comes Bill Elliott off of corner number 4. This will be the 39th lap. 1 more till the pit stop.
Harold Kendrick, he has a special flag that he's given each one of the competitors. There it is. He's telling you must pit the next lap.
You can see it's a white flag with the Winston logo in the middle of it, and that is an indication to everybody that they must stop this time around. Let's see what happens now. Bill Elliott racing down the backstretch. At the end of the backstretch now into turn number 3. And And everybody will be getting off the accelerator onto the brakes and coming in for their stop. Elliott low on the racetrack, dropping down to the apron of the racetrack. Now he moves on to pit road. Here comes Bill Elliott, the leader of the Winston, for his pit stop.
Bill is a little further down the pit lane than is Earnhardt. Bill comes to a stop first.
Bill Elliott changing left sides. What a strategy.
Let's go down to Jackaroo.
Now remember, Bill Elliott is the chief chassis man, so he's informed his brother Dan, who's working on the front tire, to go to left sides instead of right sides. They're going to drop the hood, and they're away in 13.1 off the jack. Further on up, more service taking place. There's Walter. Earnhardt is out. He gets out in front of Elliott. Elliott goes to the inside, racing on pit road, and continues to lead, gentlemen.
Boy, he just out-dragged Dale out of the pit area and grabbed the lead again.
I'll tell you, if there was ever a George Foreman-type move in a Winston Cup stock car race, Labonte looks like he's sitting a little more sideways than he should be. That was it coming out of the pit. Elliott said, no way. I see you there. You're in the way, but I got the momentum. I'm going by, and Bill Elliott took over. Whoa.
What a move. And I tell you what, there's a fella down on the end of pit road that tells these drivers whether to go or to stop. And he was in jeopardy because those two cars were coming straight at him.
He was getting out of the way.
That was a tremendously exciting move of strength.
Here we have Elliott about to lap, in fact, putting a lap on Greg Sachs. So let's see if the positions change during the pit stops. Elliott still in the lead. Second is Dale Earnhardt. Third position is Harry Gant. Fourth is Neil Bonnet. In fifth position now is Cale Yarborough. Sixth is Darrell Waltrip. Seventh is Jeff Bodine. In eighth position is Ricky Rudd. Ninth is Terry Labonte. And 10th is Greg Sachs. So the position change really involves Cale Yarborough and the fact that he lost third place.
It looks like that Harry Gant had as good a stop as anybody, but look what happened here.
And there's the fellow. They just went right by the fellow with the paddle. And look at those fans. They are giving their appreciation for the move by Bill Elliott.
And some appreciation from the fans, too, as you saw them waving Bill on as he stood on the accelerator and blasted out of pit road. So Bill Elliott still has the lead. As he comes around, we'll get an interval now between him and Dale Earnhardt. It's going to be about the same as it was, I believe. It's about 2 1/3 seconds. So just about the same interval that he had before the pit stop.
You know, Benny, 2 years ago, people were saying, well, Bill's too slow talking. He's too much of a gentleman. I don't know if he'll ever make it as really one of the top 3 or 4 Winston Cup drivers. If there was ever any question about his ability or his desire to be aggressive in a race car, I think he just answered it.
Well, I think he did. And, you know, this year has not been a good year for Bill Elliott. Coming off last year, he won 11 races, over $2 million. We mentioned a moment ago, $2.3 million. This year, he's had no luck, no success. He wants this race. You can tell he wants this race today.
Well, Jack, you were down there in the pit area as everybody came in for a stop. What were your impressions?
My impressions, gentlemen, were of surprise on the move by Bill Elliott. We saw him take on the left side tires. Everybody else took right sides and went on. So that must say that, 1, the chassis is working, and 2, that he feels that the right sides will last the 83 laps.
I looked down the pit road at Dale Earnhardt, Jackie, and he took on left sides as well. So both leaders took on left sides.
And we're watching a great battle on the racetrack for 4th position. Neil Bonnet in number 12 and Cale Yarborough in number 28 going at it tooth and nail out there for 4th rather. Cale, as we indicated, was in 3rd place before the pit stops, but didn't get out very quickly and now has to work his way back up through the field.
Junior Johnson and crew tested a lot of cars for this race. They really wanted this one bad. They couldn't come up with one that really seemed to be suitable for Neil. This is a brand new race car. They put this car together reasonably rapidly and constructed it specifically for this race because they just couldn't find another one that worked as well.
4th and 5th, and not too far behind Yarborough. 6th and 7th position, Jeff Bodine and Darrell Waltrip. So this is definitely the best race on the track at the moment.
You're also watching a great deal of money in terms of race winnings last year as well as career. Last year, these 10 drivers who were in this Winston won a combined $7,900,000. Their career winnings total, almost $32 million.
Cale Yarborough trying a different line on Earnhardt, on Neil Bonnet. He's going to the outside of him, trying to get the high groove working. We see him there. He's getting momentum coming off the corner. He can't pass him on the inside. He says, what the heck, I'll try it on the outside. He gets a run at it. Nope. Has to fall in behind him.
Now in the pit stops, here were the major changes. Cale Yarborough fell from 3rd to 5th, but as you can see, he's trying to move around 4th place. Neil Bonnet here. Car number 12, driven by Neil Bonnet, moved from 5th to 4th, and Harry Gant went from 4th to 3rd.
One of our spotters also informs us, Bob and Benny and Jack, that one of the reasons why Cale had such a poor pit stop compared to some of the other people, he almost lost it. He got very sideways going into the pit.
And in just another lap and a half, another $10,000 bonus lap for Bill Elliott. He's right now in turn number 3 as we continue to watch this 4th and 5th place scramble. Here is Bill Elliott now coming out of turn number 4. This will complete lap number 49. And the next time around, another $10,000 for Bill Elliott.
Bill Elliott's mopping up in the mud today, isn't he?
Well, I'll tell you, it's been quite a day for him, as it was at Talladega last week for about 9/10 of that race. But of course, this is significantly shorter, and he must be driving with a great deal of confidence.
All right, we will watch him now come around the 3rd and 4th turns. That Ford obviously is just handling perfectly for him. Here he is off the 4th corner, and Bill Elliott pockets his 3rd $10,000 bonus lap. He has at least that much money in his back pocket and is looking to walk off with $200,000 as the winner of this race. Well, Richard Childress, of course, the owner of the Dale Earnhardt machine. Let's go to Jack Arute for some information from him.
When you have only one shot on pit road to make a decision, you have to make it count. Now, Richard Childress changed left side tires, and just a couple of moments ago, Richard, you weren't aware of the fact that Bill Elliott did likewise.
No, we made the decision from our last 2 races here. We've seen which helped the car the most, and that's why we made our decision. We didn't know what anybody else took because we were too busy doing our pit stop.
No concern about the right sides going the distance?
No, they should go. I checked most of the car's tires from the last race, and it looked pretty good, and the track will get a little better.
Well, there you have it. One shot, they took it on the left side.
All right, and Dale is still in 2nd position, but just not having any luck at all, closing in the distance between himself and Bill Elliott.
The track creates some interesting phenomena in terms of tires. They go away quickly for like the first lap or 2, and then they seem to stabilize. There is Cale Yarborough moving underneath Neil Bonnet. They're still side by side. You can see Bonnet with that high momentum lane make it the middle momentum lane. Jeff Bodine is trying to stay in there. Cale touch.
Cale sideways. Almost loses it, but saves it miraculously. He was going for 4th position there with Neil Bonnet, and the cars touched in corner number 4. Cale Yarborough with an outstanding job of driving, but look at the look at what it cost him.
Kudos
about 10 car lengths.
Yeah, kudos also, Benny, to Jeff Bodine, because he got out of the throttle just a touch. Gave Cale enough room to squirm around and get out of trouble, because if Jeff had stayed in the throttle, he had the momentum. He had been in the middle lane. He would have gotten by.
Now, Benny, can that much of a contact with the car cause a difference?
No, it wasn't a contact. It was just Cale was trying to get under the car, the Neil Bonnet car, and if you come off the corner, if you can't let the car drift out against the outside retaining wall, you have to what we call crimp the car, cramp it down, use the steering wheel. It's going to make the back end swing out and get loose. That's exactly what happened to Cale.
So now Cale has his hands full in a battle for 5th position. Jeff Bodine wants that spot very much. They go side by side into the 3rd turn, and again Yarborough with just a slight advantage.
Well, he's on the outside. He's doing the same thing to Bodine that Neil Bonnet did to him. Bodine going in the corner, almost lost it. He got the car sideways. We see the back end of the car wiggle a little bit as he comes off turn 4.
Each position is a significant money interval. 75,000 per second, 60 per third. Those seem to be foregone conclusions. $50,000 per fourth. These guys are fighting over the difference between $30,000 and $25,000 just for 56 positions.
Here goes Jeff again inside in corner number 3, moving alongside Yarborough, but that's not the place to be.
No, what happens when you get down on the bottom of the racetrack? The car wants to go around. You have to let it go out a little bit just to save it. Bodine can't do that. You see Yarborough go by him on the outside.
Well, we have another bonus lap coming up in 5 laps, so the possibility of another $10,000 for Bill Elliott as he continues to lead this race. We'll be back with more live coverage from Atlanta of the Winston. The Winston and the Atlanta Invitational this afternoon on ESPN, and we welcome you to the Winston, where 58 laps out of 83 have been completed, and the lead is held by Bill Elliott. He has led all but one lap. On lap number 40, because his pit was further up the racetrack toward turn 4, Dale Earnhardt crossed the starting line first, so therefore Dale Earnhardt is credited with leading lap number 40. However, Bill Elliott has led every other lap. And then there is Dale Earnhardt, who continues to run in second position, and we have a bonus lap coming up. Next time around, there is Bill Elliott, a half a lap, and he will pocket his 4th bonus lap of $10,000.
In almost every other ESPN race where there have been these bonus laps, they have been among the most exciting laps in the entire race. But today, Elliott has just simply, absolutely dominated this field.
And not too long ago, Bill lapped Terry Labonte, so 8 cars are running on the lead lap now, and there is Bill Elliott pocketing another $10 grand. He's won $40,000 so far.
What the people in the garage area was afraid was going to happen, that Bill Elliott would dominate the race, and that's exactly what's happened. Jack Arute has talked to Cale Yarborough's running very well, running third right now. He's struggling for 4th there. He's trying to pass Bonnet on the inside, and Jack Arute has talked to the crew, and what do they tell you, Jack?
Well, Benny, what they told me was they just weren't sure what was wrong with the car. They said, we put the tires on, we made the adjustments as requested, went back out on the racetrack, and the handles went away. And they've really had their hands full ever since that 40th lap pit stop. In a way, they're kind of hoping for a caution.
Now Cale Yarborough moving alongside Neil Bonnet, but Bonnet holding on to that 4th position. They continue to race those side by side coming out of corner number 4. It's Yarborough to the inside and Neil Bonnet to the outside.
Cale seems to have a superior car, but in terms of horsepower and speed, but once he gets caught up to somebody, it's so difficult for him to pass. You can see that Darrell Waltrip has snuck into the picture. He's picked up a position in Bodine.
Yeah, Jeff appears to be dropping back somewhat as Darrell Waltrip in car number 11 has moved into that 6th spot. And there is Jeff Bodine back in 7th, and Jeff was right up there battling with Yarborough not more than 5 laps ago, but obviously something has gone wrong with Bodine's either handling or the race car.
Well, as bad as Darrell Waltrip's car was to begin this event, I feel like he has done a good job in just bringing the car back up. He has adjusted his style to what his car was doing, and I feel like he has done a good job to be in the 6th spot right now.
63 laps are complete now. We have 20 more to go in this race, and Bill Elliott is dominating, and not too far ahead of Bill Elliott will be Ricky Rudd, and he will be lapping him before too long, we anticipate. Let's go down once again to Jack Arute.
Well, we've been talking all afternoon down here on pit road about setup and who had the right one. Dan Elliott, it seems like you and your brother Bill have got not only the right one, but the only one. You've been just running away from the field.
Well, I had a good feeling at Talladega, but let's just wait till the end here. And the car's hooked up and it's running good, and the main thing now is just go the distance and be there at the finish.
But what about the engine? Do you feel a little more confident about it? You weren't all that confident at Talladega. You still said, hey, I'm still new at this game.
Well, like I told you, I've still got a big pair of shoes to fill, but I feel good about this one. And I think we can go all the way on fuel.
Well, that's a good story. All the way in fuel in 83 laps. Not too bad, Dan. But I'll tell you one thing, gentlemen. It's been flawless all afternoon. From when they pulled off the car cover right to the checkered flag. They've been here, but Waltrip is coming on.
He sure is, Jackie. Darrell Waltrip is a man on the move. He just puts Cale Yarborough in his rearview mirror and now sets his sights on his teammate, Neil Bonnet, and he is about to move into, or at least looking for, 4th position.
Well, Darrell Waltrip has worked him out a groove of his own. Nobody else is up there. Look where he is, way on top of the racetrack. All the other cars is running on the bottom, and when Darrell comes off that corner, he has momentum out of this world. Look at him down at 1 and 2, back to the outside of the racetrack.
You know, everybody has to be flying a little blind after that pit stop. Usually when we talk to you, we told you that they know what they're getting with the tires they're putting on, but today was not the case. Darrell apparently has found something. He's been experimenting with the way the car drives, with the tires that he now has. He's really done an excellent job of finding, as you call it, Benny, his own groove up there around this racetrack.
Look at how high he is. All 4 tires almost above that last yellow, or rather white line up there high on the track, and down the straightaway, he passes Neil Bonnet.
He has Bonnet. There's nothing Bonnet can do. Team
going by on the outside. Look at Darrell Waltrip up on the high side of the racetrack. That's what we call in racing the green track. There's nobody up there but Darrell Waltrip. The car does get a good bite up there.
So Darrell Waltrip is now in 4th position. Harry Gant running ahead of him, and so is Dale Earnhardt and the leader of the race, Bill Elliott.
It is definitely too little, too late. We're going to look at Bill Elliott taking one lap around and then compare it to what Darrell Waltrip is running right now. Here comes Bill coming around turns 3 and 4. Too little, too late, meaning no matter how fast Darrell is racing right now, he's not going to have enough time to catch that man, the leader, Bill Elliott. He is at least 1/2 a lap behind. But there are so many things that these teams can do as we start the clock on Bill Elliott. Springs, of course, are something that you adjust. You set them up before the race begins. You can't change that. Tire stagger is something that's also a factor. Depending upon the tires that you have or that you practice with, you can make some adjustments there. But in this race, as we told you, not so. So Waltrip has done an excellent job in a car well prepared for the changes that this track will undergo and making it go faster in the late stages.
Bill Elliott, one reason they changed left sides, as I mentioned very early in the race, he was moving up a little higher on the racetrack than Dale Earnhardt. They changed those left sides. He has been able to bring the car back down on the racetrack just a little bit. We see the time that they're in, 34.4 seconds. And that translates to what, Bob?
159.279 miles an hour. The average speed of the race is 159.275. So that is the speed. Now here comes Darrell Waltrip flashing across the line and again beginning our clock. And we'll see how the two speeds compare. That with the leader, Bill Elliott, or the time turned in by Darrell Waltrip, and you can see the battle behind Waltrip involving Neil Bonnet and Cale Yarborough.
They have been doing this for the last 10 laps, going at lap after lap. And Bonnet shoots in 3 real hard on the outside, now goes up the racetrack, and back Cale comes on the inside.
And meanwhile, here comes Waltrip off the 4th corner. Will convert his, well, it's just a little bit slower than Bill Elliott, but not very much. That translates to a 158.817. So it's less than a mile an hour difference. Now, let's go down to the pit area. Jack Arute is with Junior Johnson.
Junior, I got to ask you, what did you do on that pit stop that woke Darrell Waltrip up? Well, we adjusted the tire stagger for one thing, but the car's not handling really proper. He's had to go up in a high groove, and that gives him a little more room to slide and slip around. So that's basically his secret right now. He's just up real high. It gives him room to kind of slide and slip. So, but it's too little, too late. He's not going to win at all.
Well, they remarked about that, but what if a caution came, Junior? You think you could make one?
I think the caution come, we can adjust the chassis to satisfy what we did to the car, and he'd be right in the thick of things.
Well, that's what Junior Johnson thinks about how Darrell Waltrip's running.
All right, again, Darrell was the pole sitter, dropped back considerably in the early stages, but since that pit stop, he has come on to capture 4th position. There is Neil Bonnet running in 5th, and right behind Bonnet is Cale Yarborough, and they continue to dice for position.
Well, 5 of the 10 drivers who entered this race have career wins here at Atlanta, and there are 2 of them right there. They are going at it just like they have been for the last 20 minutes. Neil Bonnet and Cale Yarborough. Cale leads with 7 wins here. Bonnet is next with 3 wins, interestingly enough. Earnhardt, Elliott, and Waltrip are the other people who have won here.
There are less than 10 laps to go in this race. 73 have been completed. Bill Elliott is in corner number 3 now as we continue to watch this Neil Bonnet and Cale Yarborough duel.
Oh, this really is a classic race. Especially for $200,000, I wouldn't be able to contain myself because he's going back and forth.
I think Neil's rear end got a little bit sideways there in the 2nd corner, and Cale was there to take advantage of it, but Cale still unable to actually grab the spot as Bonnet still has that higher and faster groove out there.
And here Cale comes back on the inside just one more time.
You know, even though that Cale Yarborough runs an abbreviated schedule, just going after the 2 speedway events on the Winston Cup Trail, he's still a big favorite. He got one of the biggest ovations when he was introduced as a member of the starting lineup for the Winston of anybody here today.
The classic hard charger, Cale Yarborough. Oh, they're going to got very, very close as they exited turn 2.
Billy, what's going on at this time when 2 of you are fighting like this? You both know each other very well. You respect each other. You know that each of the other one is an extremely professional race driver. Do you ever look over and smile at the guy?
No, I don't think they don't have time to look over and smile. When it's over, they probably will look over and smile at each other. But and they're racing for 5th spot. You know, they're racing for $10,000, which is a lot of money. But if this was for $200,000, believe me, it would be a lot different race.
As we watch these two go at it, we can tell you that this battle here is about 3/4 of a lap behind the leader, Bill Elliott, and there are only 7 laps to go.
Bill, you go ahead, man.
Bill Elliott can almost see the checker flag, but as Bob said, there's 7 laps to go, and anything can happen in this sport. Last week in Talladega with 12 laps to go or whatever, Bill Elliott looked like he clearly had the race. Blew an engine.
Percentage-wise, we were about this far into the race last week when it all fell apart in the middle. But running here at Atlanta, man, I tell you, man, I just got the feeling I don't think anything can go wrong. This guy essentially is a local track driver from Dawsonville, nearby Georgia, and he's got to be pretty well.
All right, here's the way they're running now in the Winston. With when he comes around, this will complete lap 78, so we'll have 5 to go. Bill Elliott, the leader. Dale Earnhardt is second. Harry Gant, third. Darrell Waltrip, fourth. Then Neil Bonnet and Cale Yarborough. Running in 7th position is Jeff Bodine. 8th is Ricky Rudd. 9th is Terry Labonte. And in 10th is Greg Sachs.
Guess what? Cale Yarborough just passed the 12th car. Finally, at last, and he had to go to the outside to do it. There he is on the outside. Now the roles are reversed. Bonnet's on the inside, Yarborough on the outside.
Look at Cale's car sliding up there on the bank. Let's see how they shake out as they come out of the corner. And it's a side-by-side race. Yarborough just slightly ahead.
It's been a while since I've seen 2 such evenly matched race cars. Neither one can get an edge at work, and they both have tried every lane on the racetrack, and they still stay together.
Neil Bonnet went up, drifted up that time. He wanted to see if he could get a shot on the outside of Yarborough because he was going to try the same thing. Now he's going to try to get on the bottom.
Here he goes in turn number 3. Neil Bonnet does take back that 5th position, but can he hold it?
These fellows are really going after him.
That'd be a tough call, depending upon which car you were sitting in, Benny, as to which lane to go after, because both of them have had failures and successes in all 3 lanes of the racetrack.
They sure have. Side by side. Bill Elliott, meanwhile, he just cruises along by himself. But this is a classic race, folks. This is what starting our race is all about right here.
And well, there are several people we would like to thank, among them Roger Bear from R.J. Reynolds, who is with us at just about every NASCAR race that we do, and we always appreciate and enjoy being around Roger. And Bobby Matson here at Atlanta International Raceway. The hospitality extended by the racetrack just tremendous this weekend.
It has been a great weekend here in Atlanta. This is the 100th anniversary of Coca-Cola, who, by the way, is significant in terms of the team of Cale Yarborough. Big celebration in town. The Braves were in town. It's Mother's Day, of course, up in Indianapolis. They had full qualifying this weekend. So a nice weekend. The weather is held off, and a good racing weekend to top everything off.
And the white flag is going to be coming out for Bill Elliott as we continue to watch this tremendous battle involving Cale Yarborough and Neil Bonnet. Yarborough up in the gray that time, but still able to hold on to that 5th position. This is just great racing. Here comes Bill Elliott, and the white flag flies. 1 more lap to go, and Elliott will pocket $240,000 in winning the Winston.
I'll tell you what, these Georgia fans are loving it, too. Bill from just about 50 miles up the road.
It's a 3.7-second lead, so Bill could almost coast home to victory from here. It will be his first victory of 1986. Here he is in the middle of turn number 3 now. On to turn number 4 in the banking here in Atlanta. Elliott comes off of the 4th corner, sees the checkered flag waving from Harold Kinder, and there it is. Bill Elliott has won the Winston. Finishing in 2nd position is Dale Earnhardt. Crossing the line in 3rd position. And we'll be watching for him to come off of corner number 4 will be Harry Gant. There's 2nd place, Dale Earnhardt. Harry Gant finishes 3rd. And look at this battle. Waltrip is going to finish 4th. Let's see who finishes 5th as Bonnet almost loses it low on the racetrack, and Yarborough gets it.
Whoa! Neil Bonnet almost lost it.
Did he go for that?
He went for it as hard as he could go.
So congratulations to Bill Elliott, who has put it all together here this weekend. leading all bonus laps, totaling $40,000 plus the win, which pays $200,000. The victory was about a 3.5-second margin over Dale Earnhardt. Well, Benny Parsons has to scoot away because he has to participate in the Invitational. So thank you, Benny, for being with us, and good luck in that race coming up. We'll be right back in just a moment to talk with the winner of the Winston, Bill Elliott. Being brought to you by Goodyear Eagles. You either have Goodyear Eagles or you need them. And let's go to victory lane. Jackaroot there with Bill Elliott.
Well, congratulations, Bill Elliott. You may have won it on the track, but it looks like you might have won it in the pits, too, with that pass to Dale Earnhardt.
Well, I'll tell you what, I didn't know what Earnhardt was going to do, but I was bound and determined I was going to get by you.
What was the move, though? You went and looked like you were going to go to the outside of him, then you said, ooh, the inside seems to be better.
Well, it looked like he kept fading to the outside, and I saw plenty of room on the inside, so I just came to the inside.
Was it as effortless out on the racetrack as it looked from the stands?
Well, the car worked good. The thing was just not exactly right, but it still worked great. I think for the length of the race, it was perfect. I couldn't ask for no better.
Listen, $240,000. You took $1 million from him last year. You really like this R.J. Reynolds tobacco money, don't you?
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll keep coming back.
What about it? Is the Winston here to stay? Is it a premier event, Bill?
I think it is, and I think today showed it. It's a climax.
Well, Ernie was on top of the truck. Did he say anything on the radio when you took your cool-down lap?
No, you didn't say a word. Just congratulations. Everybody did a heck of a good job.
I'll tell you what, Dan doesn't build a bad engine himself, does he?
Well, they all work good, believe me, and the car held together, and it did its job.
Well, very happy Bill Elliott. He's won for the first time in 1986, and it was $240,000 worth. Gentlemen?
Not a bad payday for Bill Elliott, his best finish of the year, a 5th prior to today.